Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from around the world, you're listening to the most influential urban conservative talk show in the world. It is the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from Washington, D.C. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation. First the Republican, and then the socialist. So glad to have you all here. Dave Milner's in the house. Mary Brockman in the house. Mary Brockman's my bouncer. If you diss her, you diss me, and you will be dismissed. Tricorn hat tonight. Thank you, Mary. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Tricorn hat is on tonight because this is a day of liberation for me. I'll be talking about it over the next few weeks and so on, but I just want to say thank God for all of you, for all of your support, for all of these years. Liberation is a wonderful thing. It can't be bought, and I shouldn't sell it, and I never will again. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Biggs, who's normally watching via Ustream or live stream, is on a cruise this week. I'll be picking her up tomorrow from the airport, welcoming her back. I really missed her, and I know everyone will report to her that I looked very good this week. I didn't dress the way I wanted to. Big day today regarding court justice. Self-rule. Thank you, Dave. Conscious people. Marilyn Mosby has the worst batting average in all of judicial history. 0 for 3. Okay? And on top of that, this show, we happen to go with this particular night, is focused around one key thing. And let me just put that out for you, for those who follow along at home.
Corte Suprema rechaza a Obama y los Dreamers.
What? Say that again?
Corte Suprema rechaza a Obama y los Dreamers.
Yes! The Supreme Court rejects Obama and the Dreamers. More than a rock group. Obama and the Dreamers. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. You can't just do your own thing in the White House. Okay? You can't do your own thing. You can't write an executive order saying that you do what you want. Federal lower federal court said, no, you can't do that, Mr. Obama. That's against the law. They appealed it and then appealed it again, and the Supreme Court said in a 4-4 decision, no. And then more news. Today, apparently, Loretta Lynch has lost Omar Mateen wife. They don't know where she is. And even more news. Affirmative action's dead in America. I'm telling you, this is a huge night. And what makes this huge night even bigger, because it's a New Day Black and Red night. Thursday nights, Dr. Michael Jones, the underground professor, joins me, and we talk stuff, all kind of stuff, and we get into the spiritual nature of things. So I want to play this for you real quick, because we're going to take off our hats. We're going to put our hand over our heart, and we're going to pledge allegiance. Kids, lead the way. Tell us, lead the way, people.
Parents, ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Woo! Wrong one. Okay, there we go. Good going. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, young people. I just want you to understand that I am more excited about where we're going in preparation for the RNC convention, Freedom Fest. And despite those things that come my way, God is already making plans of actions, and I'm glad that you're a part of that. I wanted to play this clip for you because this is exactly the way people see America. It's the Family Guy, New Adventures of Old Tom. Okay. They have turned the U.S. Supreme Court into the U.S. Congress, and the U.S. Congress has become virtually, what's the best way of saying it? A eunuch.
Why are we at a health food store?
Well, we got to get that ring out of you. And this is a place where people buy disgusting cereals to help them poop.
Well, which one should we buy?
I don't know. Let's ask. Are there any gray-haired lesbian art teachers who can help us select a fiber cereal? This won't take long. We know your large dogs are tied up outside.
There's too many of them.
We've got to start a chant so they'll file out into the street. All sex is rape. All sex is rape.
All sex is rape. All sex is rape.
When I first joined this cause, I was just trying to get this guy to poop. But now, we're this close to getting sex outlawed in the United States.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly the way people treat our court system today, as the last and final bastion of common sense and morality, and it really isn't. It's a shame that you have to have four people to tell you that illegal immigration is wrong. We're going right now to the studio in Fort Worth, Texas, where the great one himself, Dr. Michael Jones, is present. Or is he present? Prescient. We don't have Dr. Michael Jones. Apparently, I did not suit everything up.
Please leave your message.
I did not suit everything up. Maybe I screwed up with the M&Ms or something, and oh my God, what do I do now? I assure you, Dr. Michael Jones will be with us this evening. We're going to make a way for that to happen. Until such time, I want you all, and I want to thank everybody who's really been going to the Unity Visa card information. Yes, Unity Visa, the comeback card. Thank you all so much. I am so ecstatic and so happy with the response. People trying to get their financial lives together. Next week, we're going to talk about how to buy a house. I know that some of you all are saying, what does this have to do with anything about conservatism? I'm telling you, there is a means to the madness and a madness to the meanness, and I'm going to give it all to you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to get our financial lives together. Let's be prepared because there is a recession coming. I'm not lying to you people. They're writing about it more and more, maybe because of what we've said and done. That's because we're influential. We'll be right back.
Let's see what that would have been like if Glenn were watching this on Vicky.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
With TV shows and movies from across the globe, Vicky is fun in any language.
No translation for that.
From coast to coast, there is one bank focused on building a better future. One bank with programs you can trust to help boost your economic picture. One United Bank, with rates better than the national average, no hidden fees, and even cashback debit cards. You'll feel the boost in your budget. One United Bank, the premier bank for urban communities in Boston, Miami, and Los Angeles. Visit us at oneunited.com or call 877-1UNITED today. Member FDIC.
Now, Brownells, we know you may have only one shot to harvest that trophy, so we have thousands of accessories and replacement parts to improve your chances. With how much you love to shoot, so our gunsmiths articles and videos will help you do more and get more out of your guns. We also value your hard work and money. That's why only Brownells backs up everything we sell with a 100% unconditional lifetime guarantee. Brownells, the world's largest supplier of firearm accessories and gunsmithing tools.
Hi everybody, everybody, it's Kristen. I'm here to review women's spirits made by dogs. I love these shoes. I am an FM sufferer, so finding shoes that don't make my feet hurt is very tough. These don't make my feet hurt. I've tried Pumas, I've tried Nikes. Nikes are pretty good. Pumas I can't wear. They hurt my feet too much. I mean, it's to the point to where my feet hurt so bad to where I can't even walk. So I was so happy whenever I was contacted to review the new dogs. I love these dogs. I love these things. My feet don't hurt when I wear them. They got the holes in them to keep my feet cool. They got massaging bumpies inside. Feels like you're walking on little things of foam. I mean, like, it's just awesome. I just love it. The heel is a deep well down in your heel, and it protects. It's a shock absorber. So if you're running in them or jumping in them, like if you're on a trail and you have to jump in them, it absorbs the shock. What else? And then it's a higher thing back here for your heel. So it's like a really high thing that protects your ankle from when you're running, so there's no injuries, so it doesn't cause injuries. Velcro, so it's very easy to tighten your shoe, so whenever you're running, your shoe won't fall off when you're trying to run. I love these shoes, and I hope you guys really appreciate this review, and there will be pictures at the end, like always. But I wish you would guys go check them out. They're only, these women's spirits are $40. There's a whole bunch of other kind of shoes that you can purchase as well. There are children's shoes, toddler shoes, infant shoes, men's shoes, women's shoes. Anything you can think of, they got it. And they're pretty cool. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you next time.
It's a love story like no other. From God's heart to yours. And for 30 years, it's been at the heart of every book, Bible, CD, gift, and resource from ChristianBook.com. Over 500,000 products, always at the very best value. ChristianBook.com. Everything Christian. Because it's our story, too.
Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you back to the most influential urban conservative talk show in the world. It is so influential that it can shake up a house and the people in it without saying a single word. That's how powerful God is. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're going to try our best to get in contact now with Dr. Michael Jones, the good doctor. I don't know if he was on earlier this evening. He is one of the hardest working professors in all of the world. I'm blessed to have him with me on Thursday nights. He criticizes me for not listening to his show.
Please leave your message for 8178.
Okay. He may not be with me tonight. Okay. He criticizes me for not listening to his show. I do listen to his show. I didn't see a show up for tonight. I hope that he's okay. Phone autograph. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk with you. I'm going to go with my plan B. And in this particular industry, you should have at least 4 or 5 plans before you go on the air. I'm going with my plan B right now, and I'm going to treat this as the old school, the Exceptional Conservative Show, which is tonight, New Day Black and Red, as we're missing our host, Dr. Michael Jones. I am the co-host in chief. I am the exceptional one, Kevin McClinton. I want to welcome everyone who's tuned in from around the world to listen to this. As you all know, that we've been sounding the alarm that the economy is going down the chute. And we're expecting in July for a report to come out that says that we may have already breached the first threshold of being in a recession. And I know that not a lot of people listen to these shows. I mean, if I spoke about Donald Trump, I couldn't. There would be just a massive number of hits for the show. People would just love it. But the true thing about all of this is that we're in a scenario and situation where it doesn't matter what Donald Trump will do. He may have to react to what has already been done. We are sitting at nearly $19 trillion of national debt. If you look at all the numbers, we have, when you consider the unreimbursed Medicare liability, the unreimbursed Social Security liability, the projected spending of defense and social services over the next 20 years. When you look at all of those particular debts, we are amassing somewhere in the area of about 135 to 150 trillion dollars of debt. The professor went to bed. I hope he is okay. All right. I pray he's okay. When he goes to bed, he's probably not feeling all that well. So we pray for the professor. We hope that he is feeling well, and we know in the Lord Jesus Christ that healing is the children's bread. We pray that he eats divinely from the table righteously and be filled accordingly with his whole healing of body, mind, soul, and spirit. In the name of Jesus Christ, I say that and amen. We have an enormous amount of debt that is outstanding that may never be repaid. And there are, please, no Trump fest. You see the bigger picture. Thank you, Mama. And it's true. A lot of people are running around like Jesus is running for office, and they did that with Barack Obama, and Barack Obama made it 10 times worse than what George Bush had done, and that was just the first 3 years. And now we have an individual, people looking at him as he's going to be the savior in chief. Somehow he's going to make all the right decisions. There won't be a Congress involved, and there won't be a Supreme Court involved. Really, today's decisions tell us glorifyingly that the biggest decision that has to be made in the election is who's going to pick the next 3 or 4. We may be looking at 5 justices. I know a lot of people say, Ken, that's hyperbolic. Why you even? We may be looking at 5 justices that will have to be replaced in the next presidency. It may be the presidency with the greatest number of justices. Scalia is gone. Okay, you understand what I'm saying here? Scalia, and many people didn't see me at Ustream or Livestream, put my tricorn over my heart. Scalia was the epitome of what a Supreme Court jurist would be. He answered the question that he asked. The question is this constitutional? Is this the right and moral pathway for governance? Normally, the one who was quiet amongst them was even more extreme than Scalia, and that's Justice Thomas. And I've read to you some of his writings in opposition to those like Roberts and others who have followed in footsteps and said that Obamacare was the right thing to do. Sometimes Justice Thomas writes his own opinion apart from the court, and he's very strident in his statement. But Justice Thomas has recently talked about the fact that he may resign or retire. Okay, that's it. Retire. We'll go with retire. Lifetime appointments do not mean for eternity, just until someone either gets tired or dead. So Thomas may go. There are at least 2 or 3 other justices who are somewhere in the avenue of about 70 some odd years old. When you look at the total number of individuals who may be visiting St. Peter, well, actually, they won't be visiting St. Peter. Y'all need to stop that stuff. They're going to be seeing Jesus face to face, as we all will, our Creator. I'm going to go on the 4-4 decision in just one moment. But Ken, what does that have to do with the economy? When a Supreme Court is more important than a Congress. You're allowing the Supreme Court to set regulation and to select tax for you, a court of just a few, when it should be a multitude of individuals who first follow the guarantee of a Republican form of governance, that we would not spend ourselves into a deficit of $3 trillion annually, that we would not seek the worst trade deals exploiting our export and import deficits, that we would not have such government intervention in place that would require the federal government through the Supreme Court to determine if it's right for every single American to be subject to it. And why is it that every single American is subject to it except for those who happen to be in Congress? And to all those congressmen and women who've been sitting on the floor of the House, Indian style, I suppose, you look ignorant. What you're saying is that you are more powerful sitting on the floor of the House than sitting in the chairs of the House. Every person who voted for you, and they probably won't do it because you come from urban areas and they have just, they're praying at the altar of progressivism, socialism, and Marxism. If Jesus came back, he would be a communist in the eyes of these individuals. They're hook, line, and sinker into you. They're always going to vote for you. That's just the way it's going to be. Although I really believe in short fashion, someday there may be a revolution in urban America, and they may not go to the left. They may actually swing the door open to the right and say, you know what? We've been wrong for 50 years, and our children have suffered, including having very high lead totals in the District of Columbia, Flint, Michigan, and other cities around the country. Remember, all that money was supposed to go aside to take care of infrastructure. Well, how's that water infrastructure working when most of the kids are suffering from lead poisoning in Flint, Michigan, and in the nation's capital? But nobody's talking about that. They don't want to talk about that. They want to sit on the floor of the House, and they want to bring back the days of yesterday. I remember when, long ago, our founding fathers told us from sea to shining sea how great it is that every man should have a right, God-given right, to be who he wants to be and be gun-free. I have a dream tonight. Yeah, this is their mentality. Those ignorant, individuals who are sitting on the floor don't mind taking away your ability to protect yourself, because I guess the KKK is over, having been instrumented by the Democrat Party back in the 1860s and alive today. But somehow they've gone away, and there's no terrorism. Since the Democrats have gotten rid of the KKK that they created, there's no more terrorism. So you don't need a gun anymore. Until the next time a tyrannical party that happens to be bent on totalitarianism and abortion, the Molechs of the world, decide it is in your best interest to take away your rights. But they themselves, while they're in the red square of life, while they're in the sacred city hall of America, they need to be protected. Now I want y'all to know, black folk who are turning in, Negro, colored, African American, however way you wish to be posed amongst yourselves, let me just put it this way. The 14th Amendment was put there so that you might be free. But the Second Amendment was put there so that you might remain liberated. Freedom is an observation. Liberty is a pursuit of that observation. In order to be libertarious, you must make certain that every inalienable right is observed, not by you and your friend. I don't care if you decide you don't want a gun. I don't care if you don't want to go to Brunel's on my page and order your own self-defense tool. I don't care. But you have that right, and you have the right to say no. You don't want it. But you don't have the control to take away everyone else's right to protect themselves. That's the difference, my friend. So while you're sitting on that floor, Indian style, with your mocha latte being delivered to you by some legislative aide, My friends, in DC, 5 kids got shot and no one said a single thing. Why? They were in poor neighborhoods. This is why I had to bring it around for you. This is why I understand that a commitment to prosperity means that you look into the hearts and souls of the people in the most poorest areas and you help them overcome their poverty. It goes back to the understanding of the framework of our country. That economic liberty comes when we observe the liberties of all men. And the freedoms are not free, they must be fought for daily, even against totalitarians who occupy the House floor. What does that have to do with the economy, Ken? Those same people who have occupied that floor of the House didn't occupy it when they put on the greatest regulation in the history of mankind called Obamacare and short-circuited the American economy, taking away 416 hours of labor from every full-time employee in the country at a rate of over $4,000 per family. They were not there occupying the floor when disastrous ideas of the car, money for cars and things like that, they weren't there to occupy the floor then. They didn't care. All they cared about was being reelected, and that's all they care about now. They know that they don't have the power to take away the Second Amendment, and if they did, they would have done it in the first term of Obama when he had 2 consecutive terms of Democrat control of the House and Senate. What does this have to do with the economy, Ken? What does this have to do with the Justice Department? It has everything to do with the Justice Department in the sense that we have a Justice Department that's completely out of control. One of which the woman was set up earlier this week. I gotta take a break. I was on a hard roll there, but I Indian style mocha latte. Thank you, White Mamba. You're awesome. White Mamba's in there. Dave Milner, Mary Brockman, all at the Broadcast Central area of the Exceptional Conservative Show. You're listening to New Day Black and Red. I am your host, the Exceptional one, Kevin Clinton. We will be right back. I'm going to give you some updates as well on the Brexit referendum, which gives us some insight on how powerful the decision today will be from the U.S. Supreme Court regarding the dream. There is so much going on tonight, and affirmative action is dead in America. I want to congratulate the good people of Texas for making that happen. We will be back with more of the best in Urban Conservative Talk. Please do me a great favor. Make certain that you make your way to Freedom Fest in Las Vegas, July 13th through the 16th, Planet Hollywood.
Well, welcome to Freedom Fest 2015. I think this is the best Freedom Fest we've ever put together.
Freedom Fest is truly international. There's people from all over the world that come to Freedom Fest, not just to talk, but also to participate in dialogue, participate in the panels, to participate in the audience.
So hold your breath, lock your seatbelts. I hope you're at your Wheaties today.
We are enslaved by government mandates. What light bulb you can buy, what car you can drive, how you heat and cool your home, to what health insurance.
Europe actually has allowed itself to be held hostage of this entire Greek situation.
They have the courage to debate. We have debates on foreign policy, on taxes, on what's going on in the world, and how to invest and how to run your own life.
Here's an example of restaurants. Don't open a restaurant because it's so competitive you'll never make any money. Really? I mean, been to Chipotle lately?
How many believe that Peter Thiel won the argument competition is overrated in America? And how many favor John Mackey's response?
So here's the moment many of you have been waiting for, myself included, and I think it's the reason why this room is completely packed all the way to the back as far as I can see.
I think I worked about 8 years to put together this debate.
I have to say, it's really kind of depressing to see people holding up the Reagan story, which is so obviously different if you pay any attention to the story, as that's the best argument, really? That's the best argument?
The middle class and the poor, the people you say you care most about, are the people who've been hurt the most by these policies because they've had no income growth at all.
Thank you. They already left 2 waters for me. I'll probably only need 1. So I appreciate it. In America today, higher education is controlled by a cartel. And they say, oh, let's take out a loan and pay for this. And no one bothers to tell them that the market for Greek philosophers has been tight for 2,000 years.
So in terms of its 2 major policy objectives, stable prices in a stable economy, the Fed has clearly failed.
And if the Federal Reserve actually did the right thing, the market would crash.
Every country in the world has a lower corporate tax rate than us. Can we fix that?
This, in my view, is the premier libertarian event in the country.
You probably meet the largest cross-section of philosophically based groups of any conference anywhere in the world.
Some of the smartest people in our country come together here to discuss the ideas and challenges. This is an engaged group of individuals.
This is all about fun. It's not about how fancy you are.
Feisty discussions, interesting people to meet.
I love it. This is my first time doing anything like this. It's not gonna be my last.
It's the only place you get this many people who agree with me. Nobody, I live in New York. Nobody agrees with me.
You know, war is not the health of the state. War is the death of liberty and freedom. And that's a mentality that is particularly strong in the Republican Party, but it's also strong in the Democratic Party.
I want government to be this small. I want individuals to be this big.
We are people when we are at our greatest that we lead by example. We don't jam it down anybody's throat. We don't force them to live our way. We don't nation build.
Very interesting. There's a lot of variety of stuff. Really.
Hear ye, hear ye. Freedom Fest Court is now in session.
We are gathered here in this great sovereign state of Nevada to decide the fate of the country's central bank, the Federal Reserve.
Please place your hand on this edition of Forbes 400 Richest.
There was a bubble in many markets, and that's simply mathematically impossible without the Fed creating the money to make it happen.
The Fed is guilty, 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 guilty. Court is now adjourned. God bless America, and may you always ride on the eagle of freedom. Hallelujah, and good night.
I'm Joanne Skousen. I'm the founding director of the Anthem Film Festival, and we are in our 5th year. We started in a little room on the 26th floor at Bally's, and now we've grown to huge numbers. In fact, we have a fabulous lineup of shorts.
Police officers can wear a body camera, but you as citizens may not have access to that footage.
Live from Las Vegas.
We recognize that Freedom Fest is a big tent.
Well, I happen to like Rand Paul. I really do. By the way, in some cases, they'll build a new hospital for $1.5 billion. You could build 7 hospitals, 10 hospitals for that if you knew what you were doing.
We had almost 300 speakers.
Without a doubt, our most successful Freedom Fest ever.
And I just adore the experience. It's like a saturation of the senses, a saturation of the mind. I've learned so much. I come home with way too many books. I adore Freedom Fest. I'm definitely going to back again next year.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great joy that I encourage you to make your way out to Freedom Fest. It's just a few weeks from now. I'm encouraging you with all of my heart and soul. Make certain that you go to the website freedomfest.com. There is so much happening at Freedom Fest this year. You got Larry Elder, who's going to be there. George Foreman is going to be there. Forbes is going to be there. Mark Scowls and his wife. And it's just going to be a tremendous, tremendous occasion, as it is always. And we're looking for tremendous, tremendous amounts of gathering for this. Ladies and gentlemen, Freedom Fest, it's freedomfest.com. Go ahead and register. Fly out there. If you're in the West Coast area, if you're in Vegas area, maybe Los Angeles, Seattle, Phoenix, if you're in there, go ahead, register, get on over there. I mean, it's just not too far for you. Just make it there. Everyone else around the country and around the world do the very same thing. Ladies and gentlemen, my crack staff, known as those who are in the Exceptional Conservative Show page, Broadcasting Central page, where none other than White Mamba, Dave Milner, Mary Brockman are in that chat room right now having a wonderful conversation. Mamba brought up the fact that today there was a 4-3 decision on affirmative action. And I love Mamba because he said, let's see, what did you say there, Mamba? Let's see. It was a question. It was a question there, Mamba. It's been a long recovery. Anyway, it was a question there about whether I had the right story. Was it Mamba or was it Mary? Or was it Dave? I don't know who it was, but there's a question of the outcome. Ken, we didn't win. It was a 4-3 decision. Elena Kagan had to recuse herself from the decision-making process, and it would have been probably 5-3 if she didn't have to recuse herself. But what we know now is that on this particular case, because it is affirmative action, she would have to recuse herself in future matters before the Supreme Court, which means there are 2 justices that will eventually be added. Is there enough said here? Literally, affirmative action could be dead in the next presidential term. It would be the greatest thing that ever happened to America. Clutch the pearls, Ken. How dare you say that? You know how bad race relations are, Ken. You know these things are real bad. We could all die any moment now. And what about those historically black colleges, the universities that Obama has really done everything he could do to destroy them, not funding them properly, and Obamacare, making certain that the poorest of them suffer the great. No one ever talks about that. But the truth of the matter is, we have gotten to a point in our country where we shouldn't want to be judged by racial stereotypes of those of the left. We should want to be judged by the meritocracy of our nation. If we have spent billions of dollars on your education, we would expect for you would be able to achieve an excellent level. And so much so, where you can get into any college in the country. But not every college in the country has to take you. Wow, that's kind of like work. That's kind of like a job. You have all the abilities to take any job in the country, but not every job, every company is going to hire you. That's just the way it is in life. What you mean life is not fair? It's not. But it's supposed to be just. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't see justice, meaning that there are 3 kids who are being judged for the last spot on the totem pole of entry into a university, and 2 of them have scored 1,300 or higher on the SAT. 2 of them are graduating at a 3.8, and then the other maybe at a 3.9 GPA. They have written tremendous essays. They have great extracurricular activities. They have proven that they can do well in an academic setting. And there's another kid here who scored 600 on his SAT, but because he's black, he beats out the other 2 for admittance. Now you tell me if that's justice, or is that just trying to be fair? And I just want to bring this to your attention, since we're on this particular New Day Black and Red show.
Corte Suprema rechaza a Obama y los Dreamers.
Yes, let's say that again.
Corte Suprema rechaza a Obama y los Dreamers.
Yes, on a night that we are talking about the Supreme Court rejecting Obama and the Dreamers. And if you got the tickets late for the concert, they will not be appearing. I probably will be a refund given to you for the Obama and the Dreamers. But this is the basic notion that the Supreme Court went with. And I want to give you the Washington Post story. You know, that's probably only worth enough to put beneath your canary's cage. But Obama praised the ruling on affirmative action. He said the Supreme Court upheld the basic notion that diversity is an important value in our society and that this country should provide a high quality education to all. See, but that's not what the decision says. It's not about providing a high quality education to all young people, because you just guaranteed the fact that it doesn't matter what the quality of education they have, based on the color of their skin, they'll get in. At the demise of someone who may be a little bit more experienced and eligible to maintain a substantive outcome in the classroom. There is no guarantee. Well, I don't want to say, but I have to say this. Just because you scored 1,300 on your SAT does not mean that you're going to graduate with a college degree. You are more likely to graduate with a college degree. But certainly those with SAT scores in the 500s and 600s have a less likely opportunity to graduate from college. No matter how much money, how much of your federal money that you give the District of Columbia, where kids are virtually, I think it's about $35,000 per pupil now, to be educated in a DC public school, even, which is maybe 6 times more than what someone would pay in a private school, and maybe the elite, you're right in competition with the elite. The outcomes are different for both of those particular settings. And based on those outcomes, and I'm not saying individual merit, individual achievement. Yes, colleges should consider individual merit and achievement for individual circumstances. Yes, individual should be considered, but as an addendum to, not as a part of the whole. No kid who has done their extreme best, who's run across the finish line with their chest out, has crossed it, and the stripe breaks as their chest comes across, and they're raising their hands and their fists. The nice guy who runs, who stopped because he put his hands on his knees and started breathing heavily, and then got a mocha latte, a little orange juice, and finished the race, that guy should not be given a gold medal. It just should not work that way. But we're creating a culture and an economy built on not excellence and exceptionalism. It's built on mediocrity and multiculturalism. Y'all know I swing it around a lot so that you can catch how all these things are happening in the world. I'll finish off with Obama saying, he says, we are not a country that guarantees equal outcomes, but we do strive to provide an equal shot to everybody. Well, that's news. That's real news from Barack Hussein Obama. Because the truth of the matter is, he has never fought for equal opportunity. He's always fought for equal outcomes. No, White Mama, you're right on target with the 4-4 decision on immigration, and we're going to get to that in just a bit. I go to certain chat areas when I'm on and I'm listening to people, and they're talking all this smack about politics and political crises and economic crises and Brexit and all that, and they're basically just reading the fine print. They're not going back. I'm not trying to be critical of I'm just saying it, maybe a little bit more research, but this group of people who are in the chat room every single night they keep me on my toes. It's because of them keeping me on my toes that I'm very good at what I do. So much so, I put the fear in urban conservatives. Wait a minute. I'm getting news from Dave Milner. And Dave, check those numbers again, because those look like Philadelphia numbers. It looks like 110% voted. Is it that 51% say remain and 49% say leave? Oh, that is disastrous. That is absolutely disastrous. I would sincerely want to recount. Oh my goodness, 49% of the Brits went. So to heck with Britain. 110% of the voters say that's right. 110% of the voters came up with that, and I believe it. That's how important this particular race was. So I just want to say to those who were concerned about economic instability tomorrow morning, and maybe the stock market getting off to a bad start, if this is true, absolutely true, that 51% voted to remain in Brexit, it might be the dumbest decision ever in the history. Votes are not counted all the way yet. Okay. All right. It might be the dumbest decision the Brits have made since the Stamp Act. Screw those colonists. What they think? What they think they are, a nation? So, the whole Brexit thing is this. The European Union is built upon the concept of a lightened form of socialism, where all of the all of the countries decide to work together for economic strength, because there was always great competition between France and between Spain, Germany, and Italy, and Britain. And what they found out is that this opened the can of worms for other scenarios and situations, including immigration, illegal immigration, illegal Mohammedan immigration. And that illegal Mohammedan immigration has led to the hijacking of many of the European countries. Corruption could still swing the vote. You're right, Mamba. You're absolutely right. It may have already swung the vote. That's how we get 51-49. Because last week we were looking at a 10-point spread between those who wanted to leave and those who wanted to remain. And unfortunately, someone dies, assassinated, and maybe the emotionalism made people say, no, let's just stay in tribute to her. I cut the nose off despite the face. But the bottom line here is Brexit was the opportunity for the British, as they had come to a deadline, to make a determination if they were all in or out. And people wanted them, many Brits wanted to leave. And rightly so, I believe, because the confiscation of their sovereignty is at risk here. However, apparently Obama and his miscreants have done an exceedingly and brilliant job of convincing people, with Prime Minister Cameron and many others, to stay with the European Union for the sake of Europe, which is under the foot of Putin when it comes to natural energy, and literally under the foot of ISIS when it comes to immigration. And so literally at a time when Britain could have done something we did, maybe about 200 some odd years ago, almost 300 years ago, they look like they're getting ready to fold. Get ready to fold. If it isn't just Brits voting, that's the problem. Yeah, because they got over 10 million people who are voting, tens of millions of people who are casting ballots at this point. If it were left to the Brits, I think this would be an easy decision, but it doesn't appear that way. It seems that if you ever watched a British cartoon or a British TV show, you're eligible to vote in the referendum. Ken, Dave is telling me the EU controls their borders. Oh, wow. There you go. It's giving up the sovereignty of your nation for the good of the collective, which is really not good at all. The multiculturalism has done great damage. You have some areas of Britain that are off limits to British residents and citizens. They are Mohammedan through and through. If you're not a participant in Sharia law, you can't be there. There's still hope. People are still counting votes. They may have lost some boxes along the way. You never know. It's just a way. Or some boxes got mailed in. You know what I'm saying? Hey, here's an extra 3,000. You need it. So Obama says exactly. If it were that close here in the USA, our dead grandparents, border jumpers, and other opportunists might still be in the voting line. So there we are, ladies and gentlemen. And then I just want to bring you up to speed in the last 4 minutes here before we go over into the second half of New Day Black and Red with your host, Dr. Michael Jones, who is in absentia this evening, and your co-host, the exceptional one, Kim McClinton. We're going to talk about the immigration thing, but I just wanted to give you all a heads up about Loretta Lynch. Okay, and there's an editorial in the New York Post that I would just encourage. It's a very short zinger of an editorial, but it is one that is done masterfully. The first line of it is idiotic. So you know how the rest of it's going to go. Idiotic is how it opens up. This is the New York Post. That's the only word for the Obama administration move to scrub references to Islam or ISIS from the transcripts of Orlando terrorist Omar Mateen's calls. Under an avalanche of ridicule, the Justice Department on Monday relented and released the full transcript. But what was the point? Everyone already knew that he pledged allegiance to ISIS and its caliph. Okay, they knew that. And they go through the deductions. But here's the part that I want you to know. Lynch never did anything this absurd in all her years as U.S. Attorney here in New York. So you know the order came down from above. It's also idiocy, deja vu. 4 years ago, Team Obama made then UN Ambassador Susan Rice tour all the Sunday shows to blame the deadly Benghazi attack on an internet video, rather than on the terrorist plot they all knew it was. She looked a fool once the administration finally admitted the truth, just as Loretta Lynch does now. It seems to me, in a word, that Barack Obama always chooses a short black woman to deliver his nonsensical propagandist motif of support for the Mohammedans and terrorism and the ability to remove the Second Amendment all in one strike. He always chooses a short black woman. So really, Mr. Obama, there is a war on women, but specifically we know there is a war on short black women by your administration, and you should be ashamed. We'll be back with more of the best in urban conservative talk. We are carried on live, SHR Media. We are carried also on High Plains Pundit Media live. You can see their good stuff on the front page of the Exceptional Conservative Show page.com at least. And also, Internet Conservative Radio Network, Red Nation Rising, July 4th. You all watch out. We'll be back with more of the best in urban conservative talk. Second half of New Day Black and Red coming back.
I was in need of some advice from a lawyer, but I found this site and it saved me a fortune. Law Depot lets you easily customize legal documents. More than 2 million people have used Law Depot to create over 4 million legal documents and save over $1 billion in legal fees. Whether you are interested in protecting your estate, managing a rental property, setting up a business, or any other situation requiring legal forms, Law Depot's extensive library of documents and legal resources are able to assist you with all your legal needs. You get customized legal documents at a fraction of the price it would cost through a traditional lawyer. quality legal documents since 2001. Click the link below.
When you suddenly don't know where your child is, nothing else matters but finding out fast. In this case, there's no need for a panicked search. Michelle's mother has just dialed her Amber Alert GPS number. Within 30 seconds, the Amber Alert GPS technology will locate the unit her child carries and display a map on her cell phone showing her exact location.
She's at her friend Michaela's house. I'll call her there.
Keep your child safe. Put your mind at ease. Call 888-334-3958 or go to www.amberalertgps.com to order Amber Alert GPS for your family now.
Have you heard the news? There's more to Prime than free. 2-day shipping on shoes. There are tons of movies ready to stream. It's like living in a film lover's dream. More to Prime. More to Prime.
I want to join. How much should I pay?
You can sign up for a free trial today. So let's sing it one more time. There's more to Prime.
Time for an unpleasant blind guy. Conservative bite. Often the stories we see in the news have their genesis in influence. Sadly, much of what we see are stories of those who steal, rape, murder, and commit other illegal or immoral acts due to the influence of such things as gangs, some segments of our pop culture, and negative ideologies such as socialism or Islam. Happily, though, not all of our young people are caught up in this net of dark inspiration. They search for the positive, work, achieve, excel, and when they've gained success, they don't lose track of who they are and where they came from. Some of the best of our young people become examples for others to follow through international sports competition, and then they bring their own special inspiration back to their home neighborhoods. Young people like awesome American Kevin Peraza, who you'll hear about in the story with this headline, Gold Medalist Makes for Positive Influence in Tucson. This is by Craig Reck via KOLD TV Channel 11, Tucson, Arizona.
Front flip for the win. That incredible move was just one of many to win local BMX rider Kevin Peraza a gold medal at this year's X Games. He is one of the top riders in the entire country right now. And as Fox 11's Craig Reck found out, he's still very active right here in the Tucson community. Craig, there's no shortage of skaters, scooters, and bikes out on a Friday night, it seems, huh?
No, I got a couple right next to me. We're live at Premises Park. They're going to take off. You know, Kevin's been riding since before Southern Arizona had anything like this. And now he's encouraging others to follow their passion, get out, and ride just like he did when he was with his family.
Kevin Peraza rides around Premises Park in improvement on the dirt, ditches, and homemade jumps he grew up riding. Even then, he pushed to be a pro.
My mom and dad helped me out with no budget to getting sponsors that were flying me out to professional events where I was overseas at an invited riders list, you know.
BMX sent this Sunnyside High graduate all over the world for competitions, but that's just the beginning. Kevin, like any dedicated rider, had a childhood dream to chase.
You want to be at an X Games and you want to win a gold medal one day, so, you know, blessings came and I just made it happen. I'm super psyched.
Kevin was a role model for the next generation long before millions watched him win at the X Games. Videos circulated years ago. Some of them inspired the teens like Trevin who work at Premises Park.
I don't know. I don't even know if I would be here if I wouldn't have seen Kevin's video 5 years ago.
He's helped build a community in Tucson, and while the ramps are staggered heights at the park, everyone is on common ground here.
All of us here are family. After riding with each other for so long, if kids are psyched on my riding, and if I can give them a little joy of what I'm enjoying in life, then I'm doing something good, you know?
And it's all as simple as riding a bike.
In the end, we're all here to hang out with our friends and have a good time.
I still need some work when it comes to riding a bike. These guys, though, they got a great community here, and that's what Kevin says keeps driving him to win and do better, is to essentially
Inspire these guys. Keep them going. Live at Princess Park, Ray Gray, Fox 11 News at 9.
In a world where so many people are led down paths of destruction, also Americans like Kevin Peraza, who never forgot where he came from, give us hope. This has been an unpleasant blind guy conservative fight.
From day's first light till night's last glimmer, your satisfaction is our responsibility. On the range or in the field of duty, you can rely on Brownell's lifetime guaranteed gun parts, tools, and supplies. Anytime, any place. It's how we've done business since 1939. Brownell's.
Kick it! Ah! Oh! Hey! Oh! Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this might be the funkiest conservative talk show in America. I'll put money down. With a tricorn on, baby, you know I'm sporting your ride. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second half of New Day Black and Red. I am your co-host with the least. I'm loving this, man. Kick it. Kevin McLeod bouncing again. Early riser. You can go to Incompetech. For those of you who are putting together your own radio programs, you don't have to pay for this strong stuff. I tell you, they got some great stuff out there. If you want to, you can. Yeah. See, I can do that. Mary, whatever you do, don't tell her I did that. Mary Brockman is up in the hizzy. Yeah, up in the hizzy. Mary Brockman's my balance. If you diss her, you diss me, and you will be dismissed from our program. I have not seen these dimples in years. Oh my God, I am happier now than I've ever been. Ladies and gentlemen, oh man, am I smiling? I will have to speak with my wife over the weekend, and I will deliver some news to you all probably on Monday. Okay, so I just want to be on board with everybody. Okay, on the up and up on things that have gone on in my personal life that may affect how I move forward in my public life. And so just want to make you all note takers of that. And I'm so glad for your support and your prayers and your encouragement. There is a great future ahead. And we'll talk about that, the great future, and the fourth quarter of the program. As you're listening to New Day Black and Red, live from Washington, D.C., I'm your host this evening, Ken McClinton. Unfortunately, the professor, I don't believe, is feeling well, and so not with us this particular evening. Next week when we come back, and I pray that he's well enough to be back with us, I want to let him do the spiritual side of the program. I'll do the constitutional side. How about that one?
Corte Suprema rechaza a Obama y los Dreamers.
Yeah, see? No!
Corte Suprema rechaza a Obama y los Dreamers.
Yes, the Supreme Court rejected Obama and the Dreamers. Can you believe it? Now, a lower court had made an opinion. And that opinion was, ladies and gentlemen, that it's not good for people to depend on the will of the president to create legislation and thus create the abominable position of superseding Congress. Now, I know some of you are thinking, yeah, well, gee, Ken, he was just trying to help out a few folk. I want you to understand, the Supreme Court did not take it lightly, this decision. And if there was another Supreme Court justice, we might have had a serious opinion given. Now, the Supreme Court made a determination earlier today that, by golly, the president does not have the right to step in and create his own immigration policy because he believes that the one that Congress chose sucks. That's just not his role. I know that he wants to play on television Congress. I know that he wants to stand up and hit the gavel like a Mitch McConnell or Paul Ryan. I know he's missing that juice of being in the U.S. Senate and being able to sit in on the U.S. Senate floor, Indian style, with a mocha latte in hand and chant, we need more power. We need more power. The roof is on fire. We don't need no water. Let the roof burn. Ruth Bader Ginsburg burn. You know where I'm going. So apparently that kind of decision making was not gratified. Now, there was a 4-4 split, so don't get completely excited, but that's the difference of having a conservative like Scalia. Oh my God, if we could just get 2 more conservatives. Zaria Garcia is a young lady who took the ruling very harshly. I'll use the proper grammar. She took it very harshly because she was counting on the U.S. Supreme Court to do what Congress refuses to do, and what a lower court said was wrong to do on the courts on the behalf of the executive branch of office. In a landmark immigration decision, the DREAM Act was squashed by a 4-4 split. That meant that 2 executive actions by President Obama that provided temporary deportation relief and work permits for 4 million undocumented immigrants was turned upside down. And I'm glad they came for it because it's going to make it easier to deport them. I'm just saying. There is a war on immigrants, and it was done from the executive office of Barack Hussein Obama, he was having a difficult time deporting people. So what he wanted them to do was come out of the shadows so it would make it easier for him to deport them. It's Barack Obama who brought them out of the shadows, okay, with the dream. That's what he did. He brought them out of the shadows. Blame him. Now, everybody is hoping that the case will go back to the Supreme Court and make a decision. But Ms. Zara Garcia said that she said, you work really hard to get ahead in life. But does any of it matter when you can lose what matters most to you in a moment's notice? Well, everything that you work to the good of God. Stop it, Mamba. You're going to the Constitution. We don't use that in this country anymore. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4. We don't. Oh, it's not the job of Congress to tell you who comes into this country or not. It's Obama's job, and he wrote it from his bathroom, toilet or whatever. So, stop it, Mamba. Stop it. It's not up to Congress. So she says that it's not fair and millions of lives are being affected by this. Which, if you were not an illegal immigrant and you were a justified immigrant to this country, you would be taking the citizenship study and test. And we did this on our show a few months back. We went through the citizenship test itself, and you would know that first and foremost, you're supposed to speak English. Number two, it's true. First and foremost, you're supposed to speak English. It's a requirement. Number two, there is no guarantee of immigration to this country outside of citizenship. Everything else is a causation for you to go back home. Work visas are temporal. Educational visas are temporal. And if it were left up to the Congress, the radical Congress of 1865, immigration would have worked this way. You could have come into this country, you could have stayed until age 18. At that point, you got to make a decision. Now, you're not going to be treated like a citizen until after age 18. But at that point, you have to make a decision. Do you want to be an American or do you want to go back home? And if you want to go back home, see ya when I see you. Would have been just like that. Is that a transgender toilet, Ken? It certainly is. One with half a skirt and the other one with half of something else. So, I love that chat. I love this. I love y'all keeping me on my toes this evening. Now, immigration groups complain and are disappointed because they're complaining that there was not a clarification here. It wasn't clear what the Supreme Court was saying, even though it was clear to the Supreme Court that they referred it back to the lower court, saying that the lower court had made the right decision in the first place. But apparently it wasn't clear to the immigrant. See, that's why you need to speak English. So then you, never mind. And a lot of people think that this is just a Spanish thing, that we're talking about Mexican American. We're talking about every illegal immigrant. The British guy who comes into the country and decides he's going to kill Donald Trump is an illegal immigrant, stay beyond his visa. So this is not racial, baby. And I don't know where you get race from when you're dealing with a sovereignty issue. This is a matter of sovereignty. It has nothing to do with race. What? What are you trying to say? What race is Mexican? What's the race of a German? What's the race of an Italian? What's the race of an African from the Congo? What's the race? You don't know who was born there. If they were born there, they're part of that country. And for all you walking around talking about your African Americans, I'm going to bring on some people from Africa, ambassadors and so on, who will tell you you are not African. You may lay claim to the title, but you're only going to hold it for a short while. Okay? Kind of like Muhammad Ali losing the title for me. You're only going to claim it for a short while. So, ladies and gentlemen, the president blamed the split vote on Republican obstructionism, although he did not blame the 4-3 vote on Republican support. So I just want you to know that the propaganda machine is running over and over and over. It's printing out, baby. It's printing out. It's that old Atari printer too. It works just that way, over and over. It's printing out. Propaganda's working, baby. Now the president acknowledged that today's news must be heartbreaking. It must be very heartbreaking to the millions of people around the country who stood to benefit from my executive action. I want you to know that of all the million of people, I am hurt the most because it's all about me, the President of the United States, who's a victim. But he offered them a wink by saying that the court's ruling will not suddenly put them at additional risk of deportation. He says this does not substantially change the status quo. What he's saying to you is that I will not enforce the law. The President of the United States has made it abundantly clear. If they rule against me, I will nullify their vote. If they vote with me, I will praise them. White Mamba says there is some argument about the terms immigration versus naturalization, though. Wonder if Obama will try to get into that distinction and try to tackle it that way, since that is what lawyers do when they don't get their way. Actually, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right, Mamba. And you know the other thing that lawyers do when they don't get their way? They sit in on the House floor. They do. They sit in on the House floor and they cry. 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 Yes, they do. They cry. They whine and they complain. And they look up to the heavens and they say, only God, if we had the power to take away the ability for people to defend themselves, we would be able to do it from this House floor. But we're going to go to the heavens and we're going to go to the hells and we're going to sit here with our caviar and our home-cooked meal, the catered meals. And did y'all see the catered meal that was brought in? Oh my God. I'm telling you, wait a minute, John Lewis, you are despicable. Absolutely despicable. When you were sitting at those lunch counters in Atlanta and at Birmingham, you were protesting ham sandwiches not being served to black folk. Ham sandwiches with a little bit of mayo, or for some people who were a little bit more elite than others, you were complaining that the sandwich spread should have been used. The white people get the sandwich spread, we get the mayo. So you sat at the counters, and I'm just being facetious, but you sat at the counter there, and you fought for the right to get a hamburger from G.C. Murphy at the same counter with another person. And I want you all to understand what Goldwater was saying from Arizona, who Dr. King wrote a letter to and asked him to support him and others in the campaign, civil rights campaign. And Goldwater pronounced to Dr. King, I have a dream that someday black, Negro, colored, African American politicians who have esteemed themselves so greatly and sit in the highest level of government will sit on the House floor and eat their catered meals and drink down their mocha lattes and look before the cameras and say that once again our God-given rights are being taken from us and we must take it from God. I have a dream. Yeah, this guy. Okay, so John Lewis is standing there in front of the CNN cameras and the MSNBC cameras, and he's complaining that business is still being done while they are sitting on the House floor. Get this now. You were sent to Congress to represent people in the seats, but you chose to sit on the floor. And Sitting Bull is offended. Just want to tell you that. Just want to say Sitting Bull offended. But you decided to sit on the floor and you chanted and you were upset because the Speaker of the House would not allow you to put together bills that had already been rejected by the U.S. Senate. Now you tell me, explain to me, in all of your years of sitting there, John Lewis, and when you had the full House, I mean, literally, man, and you need to be just like Elijah Cummings and Maryland. Y'all should be upset with Obama because he used y'all for 4 years. He just spanked that. He was like, yeah, whatever I say, you're going to do because the people love me. Black people love me. Yeah, that's what you did. And now you want him to do an executive order that's going to impact the Second Amendment? Have you not read the Constitution? Oh, well, yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. Okay, I understand. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to know that in the case of them occupying the the U.S. Capitol. They have virtually told you everything you need to know about the Congressional Black Caucus, about the Democrat Socialist Party of America, about the urban communities that they represent. They don't want to be a part of America. Protest is a part of America. It's the First Amendment. You got the right to assemble. They don't want to be a part of America. They want to take away your God-given rights. The government is to observe them, not take them. And yet, they feel the power to take it. When you listen to Charlie Rangel, a man who loves the Caribbean, when you listen to Charlie Rangel tell you that you don't need a gun, but he's privileged to need a gun because of his capacity, whom he is, not his character, his capacity, his status, who he is, that he is a congressman, and he deserves to be covered by military and by armor, those weapons of war. He needs to be covered. But you don't. Even though you, Grandma Mary, and you're on the 8th floor of the high-rise building in which you're staying in, and you can't get down to the 6th floor because you got to go past the 7th floor and the elevator's out. You got to walk through. Okay, you can't get down to the 6th floor because the gang is there. Blood, Crip, MS-13, don't matter. The gang is sitting right there and telling you, you can't come down the stairs. We doing business. You can't come down the stairs until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning when the rent office is open. Then you can. Now, do you understand? But you can't, Grandma Mary, have a gun. Okay? Because you all right. You on the 8th floor. Okay? You in the high rise. You looking out over the world. Charlie Rangel, he needs to be. He needs to have a gun because he's Charlie Rangel. Do you know who he is? He's Charlie Rangel. Harlem votes him in. There are certain cities around this country where they vote in people. You don't even put. Eleanor Holmes Norton doesn't even put up a sign anymore. Well, actually, she does. She does it 3 days before the election, just so that she can spend a little money on the election and say that she did that. But you don't have to put up a sign anymore. You are it. You are king of that city. You're it. You don't do anything. You don't get anything done. You're it. And you're always on the wrong side of history. Even to the fact, and this is the great irony of it all, and I'm going to go to a break. When I come back, we'll be on the commercial-free side of New Day Black and Red. I'm your host, the exceptional one, Ken McClinton, co-host. Actually, I'm co-host, but the host is out this evening, not feeling well. Dr. Michael Jones. You can find his information at undergroundprofessor.us, undergroundprofessor.us. Listen to his great programming, great shows. But I wanted to make this very clear to people. There is an opportunity for all of us to succeed. We all have a good starting point at birth because our Creator made us. We have to run the good race with whatever's given us and overcome it. The outcome is not assured by government, it is assured by God. Whether it's 1, 2, or 5 talents that you're given, you run the race with all of the talent that you have and you do your very best, and your objective is to double your outcome, become more profitable, more popular, better than anyone else would have ever thought you could be. Okay, what's the message? It was tonight, but will be Friday, 7 p.m. Central. Let Ken know, please. I will call him if I can. All right. The professor is going to do a show tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Catch it, Underground Professor Show. But I just want to say this. There, despite what Barack Obama says, no assurance, no guarantee of outcome in the world. Some plant, some water, God gets the increase. Remember, as we fight the good fight to save America, to save our nation, to save our families, to save our neighborhoods, to save ourselves, remember this. We must fight every single day with every tool that we have and give God all the glory for whatever the outcome is, because everything is assured by His grace and His mercy. We will be right back with the second half, which you can hear on SHR Media live and also in redo. You can hear us on High Plains Pundit Media and on Internet Conservative Radio Network, Red Nation Rising. We'll be right back with more of the best right after these messages.
Hey guys, can I ask you a question?
A stranger, every parent's fear, and every child's. But with the Amber Alert GPS SOS button, help is at your child's fingertips, as an alerted cell phone shows a frightened child's exact location, so you can get help for your child immediately. Order Amber Alert GPS for your family now, because peace of mind is priceless.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. You didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying Catholics, dude.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Saka as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Millman. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
Now, Brownells, we know you may have only one shot to harvest that trophy, so we have thousands of accessories and replacement parts to improve your chances. With how much you love to shoot, so our gunsmiths articles and videos will help you do more and get more out of your guns. We also value your hard work and money. That's why only Brownells backs up everything we sell with a 100% unconditional lifetime guarantee. Brownells, the world's largest supplier of firearm accessories and gunsmithing tools.
From coast to coast, there is one bank focused on building a better future. One bank with programs you can trust to help boost your economic picture. One United Bank, with rates better than the national average, no hidden fees, and even cashback debit cards. You'll feel the boost in your budget. One United Bank, the premier bank for urban communities in Boston, Miami, and Los Angeles. Visit us at oneunited.com or call 877-1UNITED today. Member FDIC.
What's wrong with Sandy?
Maybe it's just a squirrel thing.
Wish I was back in Texas. The ocean's no place for a squirrel. Wish I was in Texas, prettiest place in the world. Oh no, I guess it's deep in my heart, I'll always be a Texas girl. I wanna go home. Yodelay-o, 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 lay. I miss my 20 acres, barbecues and pecan pies. Oh, why? When I'm so far from you, Texas, all I can do is cry. Yodelay-o, 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 lay. I wanna go home, home, home.
I wanna go home.
Yes, I want to go home to Texas, everybody. Dude, I love me some Texas. I can't get enough of Texas. I really can't. And as things have changed in my life, I don't know. I just might be headed to Texas. I don't know. The Lord is working out some things for me in very mysterious ways. I love the conversation that's going on in the chat room at Broadcast Central at theexceptionalconservativeshow.com. It is always endearing. It's fun. It's also very intriguing and educational. You need to be in the chat roll at Broadcast Central when we're on the air. And when are we on the air? We're on the air Monday through Wednesday, in fact, for the Exceptional Conservative Show at 9:10 p.m. Actually, 9:05 p.m. Get it right, Ken. Get it right. It's 9:05 p.m. Eastern Time. And that's 8:05 Central Time, which is God's time, according to the professor, Dr. Michael Jones. We're also on New Day Black and Red, which is every Thursday night at 9:05 p.m. Dr. Michael Jones, the Underground Professor, joins us. You can find his stuff at undergroundprofessor.us. And myself. You can also find us on Sunday mornings at 7 a.m., which is going to be bigger and better than ever before. I'm going to assure you that. It's going to be awesome. But Sunday mornings at 7 a.m., you can tune in to a conservative exploration of the inspired Word of God. And we're going to bring you Christ, not in any type of private interpretation, strictly from the Word of God. You shall know His Word, and His Word shall set you free. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless you all so much for being here tonight. A great many things have happened to me this particular week. I've gotten to know people for who they really were and really are, more so than they ever showed. I've taken some of the greatest lashings, personally, against my character, although God proved me every single time. And I love, y'all just don't know how much I wanted to turn tonight's show into I love Jesus just for who He is. I wanted to do that tonight. And we are in the last quarter of our program. There are no more commercials to New Day Black and Red at the behest of the Underground Professor. And I'm very sorry that you were cheated this night and didn't have his opinion. I'm quite certain he would have made it more exacting assessment of things and analysis. But I assure you, tonight I am just so ecstatic because God told me this morning, just listen to me and do what I say do and go where I say go. And I am assured His grace, His mercy, and His prosperity. I don't even know how to tell you all the story. And I don't even want to, I need to talk about why, but I want to tell you all this morning. At 4 o'clock this morning, the Lord rested me from my slumber. Now, if anybody knows me, and Mary knows me, she knows me personally, I can go to sleep at the drop of a dime. I'll be gone. Ain't no thing that Dan knows it too. I'll be gone. Dan especially knows it from the time we went to the convention in May. I will go to sleep at the drop of a dime. If I'm not excited, if I'm not exhilarated, if you're not entertaining me, if you're not striking the iron sharpening iron, if you're just sitting there with your feather and you're trying to tickle, I'm gone. I'm out. And I can sleep for extended period of time, just like I can stay awake for very long periods of time. My wife always asks me, what time did you go to bed? And I said, I went to bed about 4 o'clock this morning. You don't know my sleeping habits, kid? Oh well, you weren't there. I slept very well at the at Freedom Fest last year. You missed it. You missed it, Mary. When no one was talking to me, I fell asleep in my chair, so I apologize. You got to entertain me. You got to keep me awake. Thank you, Dan. Dan, Ken can literally sleep anywhere. Anywhere. You name it, I can go to sleep. Syria, the bombings that are going on, nothing. I would go to sleep right in the midst of the bomb. That's why I wouldn't have been a great soldier. I couldn't have been doing infantry because I would have got used to the sound of the bombing and I wouldn't have fell asleep according to the melodies and the rhythm of the bombing. So I could go to sleep, man. Ain't no problem. But I was arrested from my slumber this morning to do what God asked me to do, to be in the place, to be able to respond to the accuser of the brethren in this capacity. Did you not know that I would be about my Father's business? Did you not know that I would be about my Father's business? And I want y'all to understand something, and this is just in general. I'm going to talk about it in greater detail. Combat naps. That's what I'm talking about, Dave. That's what I'm talking about. Literally, you got to be very careful who you call father. I know that there is a great move afoot in America called the apostolic move. It is a transition from the period of the Pentecostal and Episcopal, at least the African Methodist Episcopal, and it is one in which there is a unique restoration of the human mind, soul, and spirit by pointing individuals back to the Word of God. And the Word of God becomes the most prominent thing in the worship of the experience of God. And I have been a part of the apostolic move, I believe, since I was a little kid. But it has become very cognizant and very prominent in certain places around the world today. And in the apostolic, there is a great attention paid to this particular scripture. And I'm going to put it out there for you all to know and understand for yourselves. It is Malachi chapter 4, verses 4 through 6. Malachi chapter 4, verses 4 through 6. And I just want to say this tonight. Be careful whom you call father. Thank you, Mary. Mary's in the Restoration movement. There's so many different movements that are going on, but the movement that God requires from John 24 is that lo, I come in the volume of the book. His focus is on the doctrine. The Holy Spirit will lead you and guide you into all truth. How might you know the truth that will set you free, lest you study His word? His word is truth. And we are to worship Him in spirit and in truth. And so the worship experience is supposed to be built around the framework of His word. And I know that a lot of churches in the urban marketplace are built on what is most popular to keep the tithing tray filled and the seats full. There is even a move towards Chrislam in urban America. It's happening around the country. There's this candid opinion that somehow Abraham, being the father of Judaism, Christianity, and Mohammedanism, that they are all one religion and should be treated as such and worshiped accordingly in equality. And I just want to make it, I want to make this affronting offense against some and all others, that there's only one faith. Very well understood in Galatians, there's only one faith, one God, one baptism. There's only one. Everything else is merely religion. So in the Old Testament, which is Judaism, in the New Testament, which is, for the sake of popularity, Christianity, which is really not, Jesus referred to the faith as the way. So you have Judaism and the way. Those are what we should be studying to find our relationship with God. Thank you, Mary, the 4 C's. Christian churches and churches of Christ. There you go. The 4 C's. Okay. Different from the 4 C's that we do here. But nonetheless, in this particular move of apostolic study, there is a great affinity for finding a spiritual father. You say, Dave, Ken, you know that's complete garbage. There is this sense. Islam is a cult. Thank you, Dave. That's right. Islam is a cult. So either you in Judaism moving towards the way, the truth, and the life, or you're in a cult. It's just that simple. And it's a political, social cult, too. So it's not really a religion. It's built on Sharia law. But we'll get into other studies like that. But going back to Matthew 4:4, and let me just put that in the Blue Letter Bible that I have. You all know that I always use the Blue Letter Bible whenever I do my Bible studies. I want you all to be acquainted with it. In Malachi 4, it is written in the 4th verse, "Remember ye the law of Moses, my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel, with the statutes and judgments." 4:5. "Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord." And many people refer to this Elijah not as the Elijah of the Old Testament prophets, but Elijah being John the Baptist. And that the great and dreadful day was the birth of Jesus Christ. Because salvation has been brought into the world has already been judged. Period. You know which side you're on. Malachi 4:6 reads, "And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse." Now, one of the things, and this is how you know in urban America that people are following ideology rather than a commitment to apostolic teaching, is that they have no problem ridding themselves of sons. None whatsoever. Because one of the things that prepared them for that type of mentality happened to be Margaret Sanger, who back in the 1920s made it abundantly clear to the KKK, which was part of the Democrat caucus, that in order to eliminate the weeds, which were black people, the excessive populations, the needless populations, the weakest populations, in order to get rid of them, we have to hire pastors. You see, Booker T. Washington back in the 1890s made it abundantly clear that only a third of all the pastors that were preaching in urban America or black America, or however way you should say it, in the South, were of any worth. Those were men of God who did not mind going back to the Greek and the Hebrew and pointing out the etymology of the words of God and pointing out the histories in the relationship between the Jews and the blacks. Did not mind going back and creating, in the midst of all their work during the work week, knowing that there were 66 books in the Bible. I don't know how you could not go to church on Sunday without a message. You got 66 books to work from. But out of that particular core group, only a third were doing preparation at that level and working full-time. Not part-time work, full-time work on the farm and sometimes in the city doing stuff too. And still put out legitimate ministerial sermons, not based on eisegete, but based on exegete of the Word of God, so that the people of God would remain moral in their nature and have something to point to as the reason why they believe what they believe. In today's church, there are probably 52 sermons which are already typed up and they are just recycled every Sunday in those particular churches. And then they add in bringing in a politician to speak from the pulpit, or supporting a politician that believes in killing babies, or a politician that believes in taking away your God-given right of self-defense. They don't mind supporting them. And what they do, instead of teaching you doctrine, they indoctrinate. And being indoctrinators, the Word of God is mere hearsay or exacting a legitimate way of supporting your propagandic opinion. And the thing about it is, these ministers understand the reason why they do it. And it's the same reason why the school system is set up in such a fashion to indoctrinate your children. It's about control. Controlling the thoughts and the hearts and the minds, of controlling them with fear and a sense that they cannot achieve because the achievement is built on you and not God. I want you to understand what Booker T. Washington was saying. The same man who said at the great event down in Atlanta, the Great World Fair, drop your bucket. That, listen, you can't control the minds of people. I wish to God, is what he's basically saying, that I could make white people love black people and black people love white people. I wish I could. But drop your bucket where you are. I can't make that happen. But what I can do is be the most moral person I can be. And I'm not saying perfect. See, there's some people who have gotten caught up in their churches that their pastor is perfect. And they just trying to live good enough to get buried at that church, or get married at that church, or to be accepted by that pastor. And that's foolishness. Fathering a son requires much. You have to first admit that you're a father. Real fathers build people, they don't build buildings. They may build buildings as a part of their work and labor, but they build people. In addition to that, their focus is never lost on the reputation that they have with the world. It's always found with the reputation that they have with their sheep, and that they know their sheep, who are their sons. The obligation is not the worship of the Father, it's the worship of the Father's Father. Now, drawing the hearts of sons to their Father takes a great deal of sacrifice. And it really hurts when fathers pick up to go out on the street to get a pack of cigarettes and they don't come back. When you have been the rejected, the son of perdition, the called out one amongst your peers, even though you have done no evil. And this is why you need to understand Jeremiah's 33rd chapter, built for war. Baby, I was built for war. I've been thrown out of some churches. Yeah, I'm a good man. I love being thrown out of churches. But I want you to understand something. The father-son relationship is a blood relationship. It's not built on some type of anemic structure that you try to implement as a new year promise. This is our theme for the year. It's a blood thing. Sometimes you don't agree, but you don't reject your own blood. There's some people who call themselves fathers who were never your father to begin with. They couldn't take who you were. They wanted you to be what they wanted you to be. They themselves sometimes fight with what other people wanted them to be. I want you to understand something. There is one who will stick closer to you than a brother. And his name is Jesus. And Jesus told the men, some would call him rabbi, some would call him master. One yelled out, Father. Be careful who you call Father. Because it could be the type of father that you have who's a father in name only, a pheno. You know, he's mentioned on the birth certificate, but there's no other connection. And there's some I call Dino, the dads. They're men who ain't looking for nothing, who don't mind listening, who will pour into you and let you bloom. They're not concerned about what you got as much as how much they can give you. Because if you look at that type of father, a Dino, rather than a Pheno, the Dino who is a giver is given unto. Because he set an example. He was not stirred by the popularity of his sons. In fact, he wanted his sons to be greater than himself because the greatness of reputation would point back to him. Now, according to the scriptures, Matthew, 1 Kings 15:11, and Asa did that which was right in the eyes of the Lord, as did David his father. We can have a Asa-David relationship, or we can have a Saul-David relationship. One of the major problems in our churches of today, just as they are happening in the homes in urban America, is that the father is missing. On Sunday, I'm going to talk with you about the manifesto of Jesus Christ, the Sermon on the Mount. In it, you'll find out how important that blood relationship was to Jesus himself and his disciples. It's at 7 a.m. on Sunday morning. I hope that you can tune in. If you can't, you can get it on the rehear at Sackheads Radio Network. A man came to me, my very good friend, and said, Ken, always be brave. Never die a coward. I promise you I always will. From Washington, D.C., on behalf of the Exceptional Conservative Show family, for those who have tuned in tonight to New Day Black and Red, I want you to know, God has blessed America. It's time now for America to bless God. We'll see you next week. God bless you, and God bless the U.S. of A.
Thank you.